I don't want to wait the long time for the long game to get the audio description. So, I'm John Stark from MacBookMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is The Long Game, which is currently available on Netflix. I'm a blind film critic. Today I'm wearing a purple hat. It's on backwards. I've got a Star Wars shirt on, and I think it's the child. I think it's Grogu. And yeah, this is on Netflix. It does not have an audio description track on Netflix, but it does have one. I've seen this posted elsewhere where it had an audio description track. So there was one that was created by the film studio that made this film. And Netflix just has not bothered to contact that studio and upload it. I'm doing this review at least a week after, or more. I saw this film like at least a week after it had dropped on the service. Waited to see if it would pick up an audio description track to see if it was a glitch in the Matrix. It's not. They're just lazy. Sometimes they pick this up like really late. Like I think Gran Turismo got it like months later. This shouldn't happen. This should not be a thing. So I like to call it out when I see it. Call it as I see it. Play it where it lands. So I'm playing it where it lands. That's the golf term that we're using here. This is about a Mexican American veteran played by Jay Hernandez who comes back as the 1950s. So not a great time to not be white. And he walks into a country club and he's like, I would like to join. You know, I'm a veteran, and they deny him entry and basically tell him, well, our members are just not used to seeing a Mexican. Cool. Well, it's in Texas, so obviously they're used to seeing them, but they're used to seeing them cutting grass and caddying and doing all the labor, but not actually playing golf. That's for white people. So in the 50s. So Jay Hernandez takes this as an affront. He's about to be the superintendent of this school, and he's also encountered these hooligans who are playing like street golf. Like they're kind of practicing. They're all caddies, so they all have like, they've seen golf and they've picked up whatever golf knowledge that they have, and they obviously like it and want to play it, but they don't have the knowledge. So Jay Hernandez forms a team for this school that he now works for, full of these Latinx boys, and they start putting together this golf team. He also calls in his friend and token white savior for the film, Dennis Quaid, who is just if it's a sports drama, sure, Dennis Quaid is in. I think Dennis Quaid has now been in more sports movies than Kevin Costner. I'm just gonna make that as a hot take. He's slowly trying to like quietly surpass Kevin Costner while Kevin Costner's off making like westerns. He's like, well, I'm gonna beat you on sports movies. But the two of them served together and played golf together when they were in the military, and Dennis Quaid is not racist and super cool with brown people. So that's why he's brought in. And his wife is too. So we get Jay Hernandez's wife and Dennis Quaid has a wife. Both of them are really underdeveloped. Jay Hernandez's wife is Jenna Lee Ortiz, who you might remember from Ugly Betty. And Dennis Quaid's wife, I don't remember. It's just, there's only just so much I can remember in this film. Not everybody's a name. There's this, of course, like one of the boys has to be problematic, right? One of the boys has to give them more trouble than anybody else. So he goes off and he's like, I'm not joining your stupid team. It's dumb. So he like storms off. And then he needs Cheech Marin to give him a pep talk. Then he comes back. So Cheech is in this. Yeah, it's obviously it's like an inspirational sports drama. So it goes exactly where it wants to do, where it wants to go. The thing about inspirational sports dramas is that, okay, so is The Long Game good? It is good. It is good. It is exactly fine. It is exactly where it needs to be for its thing. It is not exceptional. It is not great. It will not be remembered. It is the thing about being formulaic is it's a lot like doing a recipe out of a cookbook. If you do the recipe correctly, you're supposed to be able to produce quality food. That is why you use a cookbook. And filmmaking is a lot like that too. When we say things are formulaic, it doesn't. A lot of critics use it to say that it's bad. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It just means it's not like groundbreaking. It's not interesting. It's not everything everywhere all at once. You know, the Daniels didn't get to where they did today by doing things that were formulaic. They got to where they are by doing things that are different, that are groundbreaking. That's why people like Ari Aster have huge followings, is because they don't just do what's being done by everybody else. So the long game literally just kind of does like a paint by numbers approach to this movie, so much so that like there were direct beats where I could pull from other movies that had already done that scene before. There's a scene where they show up at a diner, and of course they refuse service because they're not white, which is like, I was like, this was in Glory Road. We did this in Glory Road, and so it, and you know where it's going to go. Obviously, like, it's an inspirational movie, and obviously these kids are going to end up triumphing in the win in the end, and showing these white people that their, you know, racism is pointless. So yeah, we know where it's headed. It hits every beat. The acting is fine. Nobody here deserves an Oscar, but nobody here deserves a Razzie. There's nothing wrong with this film. What is wrong about it is it doesn't have audio description. And the things that we miss as a blind community while not having audio description is, it's about golf. So every time they're playing golf, you just hear like the swinging of clubs and balls being hit. You have no idea where they are, what's happening. If anybody, you know, are they on the green? Are they on who's swinging? I couldn't even really follow. There are 5 boys here. I couldn't even follow the 5 boys because some of them are really underdeveloped as characters. So they kind of focus on the main one, the trouble boy, Joe, more than anybody else. And I'm like, I don't know who the other 4 are because there's no audio description to follow them. So it was really hard to do that. The scene that happens inside the diner ends up becoming more pivotal than it should. And some stuff happens, and like a little bit of a fight, some stuff breaks or whatever. And they it ends up being called back. Like, they call it back. So it ends up being like, well, I really did need to know what happened in that scene. Looks like I did. But I didn't. I can't actually say what happened in that scene. So I can be angry and frustrated at the racists in that diner, but I don't even know what I'm angry specifically for. Like, how much bullshit is there in this? Like, what is the level of bullshit? Because I didn't get audio description for that scene. I mean, I'm already angry, so I just need to know what is my level of angry that I need to be for this? Yeah, just there are several things in here that are very just sort of like, that's pretty obvious that I need audio description for that. It looks like there's a moment where Jay Hernandez is, I don't know, I guess temporarily arrested, but then Cheech like breaks him out so he can see the tournament. That's kind of a spoiler, but I didn't even conceptually understand how that happened. I was like, is he in jail? Is it in golf jail? Like, is he just locked in a room somewhere? Like, where is he? I was just so, I did not understand. I was like, I literally have no idea what's happening here. There were so many times in this film where I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't conceptually understand what they're trying to do here. And it was all because of the lack of audio description. So while I follow the main thread line of the movie, because it's been done 1,000 times before, and we're just swapping, you know, the sport, it's golf now, the location, Texas. Well, Texas is a great film to have, a great place to have sports dramas. And especially if they have any hint of racism in them. I think Glory Road took place in Texas as well. Didn't we have Marshall take place with Friday Night Lights? I mean, God, everything's fucking Texas. Anyway, yeah, so it needs audio description. So sadly, unfortunately, my grade is unwatchable, because I can't recommend this to the primary community. The reason I'm here, I'm a blind film critic, and my accessibility needs were not met by Netflix. and I shouldn't have to pay for this separately. I shouldn't have to rent this on VOD. I pay Netflix so that they can find the audio description for me. They should be doing that. If there's existing audio description, they should have somebody who it is their job to find existing audio description for films. And contractually, they should be forcing these distributors to give them these tracks too. Like when you sign these rights, it's like, please include all available accessibility. Like that should just be a thing. It's just whether or not you care. And obviously Netflix cares only to a point. And I don't like being like the token thing for you, like to be able to be like, oh, look, we have some audio description. So we like blind people. Actions speak louder than words, and the actions are, if you have titles on your service that have known audio description and they're not on your service, then it doesn't really matter what else you do, because you're kind of still showing us that we still don't matter enough to you for you to hire somebody to make sure that that does not happen. So that way, if we call and we say, hey, this track, you can literally say, that's because there is no existing audio description track for that title. We have a guy who his sole primary job is to track down existing audio description tracks for movies and TV series. It just doesn't exist. But if I call you and say, hey, this film has audio description here and here and not on your service, what are you going to do about it? And you're like, I don't know. I'm going to escalate it. Okay. Thank you. So maybe something will happen, maybe it won't. It's just all kind of pointless. So that's why I'm doing this review, because this does have an audio description track. It was created for this film. They're just not using it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.